welcome to the show that isn't walking to Texas anytime soon. This is the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Shoeless Michaeletta, a.k.a. Hamilton Mike, along with my partner, Brian Ranger. Brian, upstate New Jersey.
I hear that. You might want to give the fans who are maybe new to the Sports Box a little bit of background as to why you're saying that, because you might not know what people are talking about.
Absolutely. Today we're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints, the NFC South winning New Orleans Saints. Preview show for the playoffs, and what had happened, our correspondent in the southern area, James Primeaux, had made when we got him on the beginning of the show to talk about the previews of the show, he had said right off the jump they're going to be 13-3, and that Drew Brees is going to have a good day. And I'm going to say exactly what I said. I said, Jim, I think you're high. I think if they do that, I'm going to walk to Texas and kiss your ass. And thank God that didn't come to fruition.
You know what? They were only 2 wins short.
I was really rooting at the end. I hated to because I like the Saints. I was really rooting. But James is a good sport about it. He told me about it. He called and said, yeah, I knew they weren't going to go 13, but that's fine. And listen, he proved us both wrong. The Saints have had a phenomenal year. 11-5, win the South. When I had them written off for dead, I thought they were going to be 3rd or 4th in the division. I thought my Bucs were going to actually go to the top, but that didn't come to fruition either. But what can you say about Drew Brees? Here's a guy who just keeps getting older and keeps staying the same way, keeps throwing for a ton of yards. But I think the big thing with the Saints this year, and we have talked about it in extension, is that the Saints are good this year because they do have one thing now. They have balance. They have a running attack with 2 guys that made the Pro Bowl, Ingram and Kamara, and probably Rookie of the Year. And they have a wide receiving core that's always been good. Drew Brees had a good year. But the defense is actually stopping people now. They're slowing people down. They might not be a shutdown defense like Minnesota or the Rams, but they're slowing people down. That's something they never did. Drew Brees had to throw for 5,000 yards a year.
Well, they have playmakers.
Yes.
Marshon, Lattimore, first and foremost. I think that no team in the league, at least to my recollection off the top of my head, had a better draft than the Saints. Impact players all over the field. And you know what's interesting about this, Mike? I'm looking back here at Drew's stats. This is the fewest amount of yards he's had in New Orleans.
Because he's got balance.
The fewest amount of touchdowns he's thrown for in New Orleans. It's absolutely amazing. And it's actually the few, other than 2009, the fewest amount of attempts.
He doesn't have to do it all there. He is not a one-man wrecking crew anymore. He is not a guy who has to throw for a ton of yardage and get them out of situations. Every week he was his fantasy dream. He was throwing almost 300 yards a week.
That's why I drafted him. He doesn't help me this year.
But they do have balance, and look where they are today. So you talk about this Saints team. I think Kamara is going to win Rookie of the Year. Some people think Fournette. Some people even think Hunt from Kansas City. But I think Kamara has had a good year. He's proven by making the Pro Bowl. I think he's hands down Rookie of the Year. And going to the wide receiver course, he had a good year to hold out, didn't he? Smart year.
Michael Thomas, another solid year, 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns. But again, a lot of these passing touchdowns are down this year because they ran it down everybody's throat.
Yeah.
Mark Ingram, who was left for dead after last year, a phenomenal season for him. 1,100 yards, 12 touchdowns on the ground, not even counting the 416 yards he received.
I think it was big too in the beginning. The running backs knew they were going to have to step up with the loss of Brandon Cooks in the beginning of the year to New England. So there's a guy who's the number one guy and who's done okay in New England, but in the same sense, he was the number one guy in New Orleans. So you have Michael Thomas step up, you have some other guys in this team step up, and here you go. You got a complete team.
Well, we thought that Thomas would give you basically what Cooks gave you last year.
Yes,
kind of
we did. We just weren't worried about the carries or the catches.
Yeah, I mean, Willie Snead.
Great year to hold out.
Dumbass.
Yeah.
But listen, this is a Saints team here that's sneakily impressive. Because like you said, the defense has been a hole for them for many, many years, and it wasn't this year. On top of the fact that they kept the ball out of your hands because they ran the ball so well.
Yeah.
So this is a team, I think, that can definitely make some noise in the playoffs. Again, they didn't win 13 games this year. You're pretty happy about that.
I am, and I'll tell you another guy who's been pretty impressive, which I kind of wrote off a little bit, Ted Ginn.
Yeah.
Ted Ginn's gone to the Saints and played really well. And believe me, this team had Adrian Peterson for the first couple of games of the year too, before they shipped him off to Arizona. Their tight end situation with Humalawala. I believe I said that right.
I don't even care.
I'm not exactly a Fox guy, but that's fine.
Coby Fleener too.
Coby Fleener, yep. You've seen him a lot. But this defense, the defense, not only are they slowing people down, but they're causing turnovers. How many touchdowns did this team have this year that they didn't have in the previous year? I think they have more touchdowns, defensive touchdowns this year than they've had in the last probably 3 years. This team was not known for turning the ball over, getting fumbles. Look, believe it or not, people, Manti Te'o is playing well at linebacker for them this year. From the San Diego, Los Angeles throwback. Talking about Cameron Jordan having a phenomenal year with them. We talk about Marshon and Lattimore, who should be in the MVP candidate talk, but we know, and I know, he's not going to win the MVP. I mean, defensive guys really have to blow it up.
What a guy, though.
He's making that secondary scary, and it's almost like Xavier Rhodes with Minnesota. You don't throw him. You want to throw at him. Hey, good luck. He's gonna knock stuff down. He's gonna pick it off. But in the way of sacks, you talk about Cameron Jordan, 13 sacks this year. I mean, they're getting to the quarterback. They're causing some havoc. So, I think the sky's the limit for the Saints team. I really do.
Well, so in the first round, so they finished with the 4 seed. They won the NFC South.
Yep, and they play our boy.
They're going to host a familiar rival, the Carolina Panthers, the 5 seed, and they're coming to New Orleans. Mike,
I think it's a great matchup for them. I really do.
This is I feel the best game of the first weekend.
Yep.
I'm going to say that. Now, I'm pretty confident here the Saints win this game. I am, right? But what scares me just a little bit is I do subscribe to the theory that it's very hard to beat a team 3 times in one season.
It is. It's very.
But they've beaten them twice. They went into Carolina, beat them 34-13. They beat them 31-21 in the Dome just a couple of weeks ago. Or actually, about a month ago.
But stats are made to be broken.
That's true. I think the Saints are the better team in pretty much every facet of the game. I really believe that because even for a team, the thing about Carolina is they try to run the ball too.
Yep.
But they need the ball, and I think for a New Orleans team I think they're going to dominate time of possession. I think New Orleans wins this game hands down. I think they're the better team, and they're going to be the team, in my opinion, that goes to Philadelphia, a beaten down Philadelphia team without a big guy, know who. Yeah. And I think the Saints find the win in the NFC Championship.
Well, the Saints have to worry about Cam Newton running the ball. I mean, that's an issue. I don't know if you set a total spy on him to watch him move around. You set Manti Te'o out and just try to follow him down. But you also got to worry about Greg Olsen in this game. So Greg Olsen's a guy that we know from before in past games can blow up and make big games for him. I mean, right now, all they have is functions, and I'm not too concerned about functions.
Well, I think Lattimore's going to shut him right down.
Correct.
The outside passing game for the Panthers in that game, I don't really like.
Right. So you look at kind of guys like Craig Robertson, like we said, Manti Te'o, A.J. Klein, guys like that in the middle of the field have to contain Greg Olsen. Maybe give him a shot off the line. Just watch where he goes, and they're going to have to keep an eye on Cam Newton. I think Cam Newton they can control. I think Greg Olsen could give them a little bit of problems. But like you, I like the Saints to win this game too. I think the Saints defense, again, is slowing down the tempo. It is tough to beat a team 3 times in 1 year. But I think, again, trends are made to be broken, especially with this team playing home, little home cooking. They are a good team. They are really solid right now. Two all-pro running backs.
Amazing.
I mean, that's never happened before. That's just amazing. So, yeah, I think the Saints win this game. I would say going away, believe it or not.
Somebody else who thinks they're going to win this game is James Primeaux, the Sports Box Saints correspondent.
Yep.
We reached out to James to get his thoughts.
And I'm not walking there, James.
Reached out to him to get his feeling about the season and where he thinks this team goes from here. Here's what he had to say about that.
Hi, guys. This is James Primeaux, Saints affiliates for the Sports Box. I was asked to talk about the Saints and what they have to do in the playoffs to win it all. Stick with what they do best. Right now, that's running the ball. Long as Kamara and Ingram are running, they complement each other well. They run great. Run the ball, pound it down their throats. Whenever they think that they got the run stopped, throw it over their shoulder to Michael Thomas. Simple. Everybody still doubts the Saints. You can't doubt the Saints, really. You can't doubt them. I mean, they're 4th overall in offense. They might be 15th in defense, but their defense has come a long way. I mean, last year, 31st in the league. I think the Browns only had the worst defense than the Saints. To go from 31st to 15th is a huge step. Several great players brought on the team. And then another reason you can't count them out is the offensive line. Look at these guys. They have been moved all season long. We have not been able to keep anybody healthy at all on that offensive line. They've been jumping back and forth. But they still protect Drew Brees. Long as he's protected, we're good. He's in the game. Anything can happen as long as Brees is there. Then you got Kamara and Ingram, like I've already said. You got Michael Thomas, over 1,000 yards receiving. He's always been a good receiver. And as always, Brees likes to pass the ball around. But Anyway, guys, this is James Primeaux again for the Sports Box. Talk to y'all later.
And there you go. I know James wanted to see you.
That's it. I had to send my shoes back to Dick's because I thought I was walking to Texas, but unfortunately I'm not walking to Texas. So anyway, I'm sure we'll make something next year. I'm sure James will get me for it.
So we both think the Saints win against the Panthers?
I think they do. I think it's a fast field, and I think they contain Cam Newton to a little extent. And yeah, the only problem I see them having is maybe Greg Olsen getting loose a little bit.
Okay.
But like you said, you got Lattimore on Funchess, which is kind of a mismatch to me anyway because I don't think Funchess is that good. But in the same sense, you got to watch Greg Olsen. He could get loose, could sneak out of the backfield. This team can throw some screens too. They're going to have to bring the safeties up, play a little bit of bump and run, I think, for a little while. But I think the Saints can win this game.
How far can they go?
That's a good question. I mean, I think if they do play the Eagles in the next round, we'll get into that in the coming previews if they get that far. But I think they can knock off the Eagles, even though they're coming north to a cold weather area. They're out of the dome. They're out of their comfort level. Philadelphia, briefly talking about them, it was a huge loss, and we're going to talk about that in our Eagles preview. Actually, we did talk about the Carson Wentz loss. I mean, you lost an MVP candidate, and you're putting a guy in there who may be suitable to be a backup in the league, but still doesn't bring the value that Carson Wentz does. So, will that be a different game? Yeah. I mean, it'll be a different game for the Saints playing outdoors, playing this, but they got a lot of weapons. A lot of weapons, Brian, throw at you.
They were 4-4 on the road.
Yeah.
But the games that the Saints lost were, a heartbreaker in Atlanta.
Yeah.
They lost, in Minnesota.
They lost.
Whatever.
They lost in Tampa.
And at the Rams. But the Tampa game at the end, I mean,
it didn't really matter.
It didn't really matter.
Well,
so.
it kind of mattered a little. Well, not really.
It ended up not.
No, knocking out somebody, but that didn't matter at the end. So.
I don't think they're a team that Philadelphia wants to see because they can run the ball.
Yeah.
I think, I don't know how that's going to necessarily play out because I don't think they can necessarily score with this team.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's the thing, too. You got to see, that I think is a drawback to the Eagles not having Wentz in there. It's going to be tough to keep up with teams offensively. Defensively, yeah, they can slow teams down, and that's not a concern. But offensively, if a team starts moving along like the Rams did, I don't know if they can keep up with teams especially an offensive team like this.
Again, for me, I think they're one of the teams to contend within the NFC. I think there's a really good shot they go to the NFC Championship game.
Sure.
I think that game's probably going to be in Minnesota. But we'll see how it goes for them. I think it's definitely, again, a great year. A year that I don't know how many people honestly saw coming.
Don't want to jump ahead yet. I want to see the Saints move on. If not, we'll be talking to our other affiliate about the Carolina Panthers. So we'll see about that. So, but that's all the time we have for the New Orleans Saints. I want to thank you for watching. And remember, you can always get us on social media if you need to.
Hey, we're everywhere. This is one of 12 different previews we're doing for the NFL playoffs, getting you ready for what's going to be just a pretty interesting, we'll put it that way, NFL playoff season. We are on Facebook and Twitter, both at Sportsbox Show. You found us here on YouTube. We appreciate that. Like this video, subscribe to our channel. We definitely appreciate that as well. And we also have a Facebook group called Outside the Box. You can Google it. It'll be there. Join us. A lot of great discussion going on there. Join the party.
And some people think we don't have a life because we're doing it on 12, but we just love you guys. So
we're doing it for you.
That's it. Anyway, thank you for watching. We appreciate it. Anyway, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is right here. Thanks for watching, folks. See ya.
This episode of the Sports Box is brought to you by Mic'd Up Entertainment and DJ Mike Velarde. For all of your event planning needs, make sure you contact Mike at 609-864-5925 and tell him that you saw him on the Sports Box.
One, two, three.
Don't forget to subscribe.